So hello everyone, welcome to this session 7, that is chapter 7 of this NCERT 11th class. We have already started it, right? So we will today discuss the environment and sustainable development. And what we have already covered, why this chapter is very important is because we have seen the growth, right? How can we go for the economic growth, right? And then we saw how growth can be increased by using the human capital, right? Human capital, and also the industrial development, right? Industrial development. So this was all about the things that we have already seen, right? And because of this economic growth, there are many issues, many challenges also comes up, and one of them is the poverty that we have already done, right? Poverty that we have already done, and also employment issues are also there, right? Because of the economic growth, sometimes what actually happens is economic growth is higher, but the employment is not being created in an economy, right? And that we have seen what is the phenomena of the jobless growth, right? That we have already seen in our previous chapters, right? Now, when we are going for this economic growth, right, we all know what is the meaning of this economic growth. What is the meaning of this GDP, right? GDP that we have already seen, right? And the GDP means sum of the value of, right? Value of all goods and services produced in an economy, right? Within a period of 1 year, right? अब हमें value से मतलब है, right? We all are concerned about the value, right? So how will the value be improving, right? Suppose there is a soil, right? There is soil, and if there is some mineral, right? Some ore is there in higher quantity in this. So this ore can be extracted and converted into the metal, and then this metal can then be sold in the market, right? Though this soil was of no importance, right? No importance, or of value zero, but this ore, or this metal that has been extracted, this can be sold in the market, and it has higher market value than the soil, right? So that means we have been able to increase our growth. Economic development will be higher with the metal as compared to the soil. आर यू गेटिंग इट? तो ये चीज है जो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट को बेटर करती है. बट नाउ सी, अगर हम इस इकोनॉमिक वैल्यू चेन के लिए जाएंगे, राइट? इफ अ कंट्री गोज फॉर दिस इकोनॉमिक वैल्यू चेन, राइट, it converts its soil into the metal, right? So there must be some negative externalities, right? Negative externalities, right? So क्या negative externalities होंगे, right? तो after the extraction of the ore, some of the waste will be produced, right? And this waste will negatively impact the environment, right? And this is what is called as negative externally, right? So in effect, what actually happens is when the growth of a nation increases, when the GDP of a nation increases, its environmental faces a level of degradation. Are you getting it? So environment starts to degrade, and this is what is being the reason to discuss this chapter, that is environment and sustainable development, right? And what are these two terms we will be discussing in the course of the chapter, right? Let's start with this, right? I think this fundamental understanding will help you in knowing what we are going to discuss, right? Okay, so this introduction, I have summarized it here, right? We have changed a bit of format of this NCERT videos, and we are now summarizing the instead of reading this whole content here, we are only summarizing it, right? Now, if higher economic development will happen, right? So what will happen? It will increase the prices in an economy, right? It will increase the prices in an economy, but what will happen is the environment will get affected, right? Environment will get affected, right? So how the environment will be affected? Environment is very important in an economic development or in an environment, in any nation, right? And there are many functions of the environment, right? It's We will be discussing the environment in these formats, right? How, like, what are the functions of the environment, right? What is the current scenario of India, right? India in this in the domain of the environment, right? and the strategies for sustainable development. So this is what the flow of this chapter will be, right? This has been summarized from this introductory part, right? So this will be how we will be going ahead, right? Okay, so first and foremost is about the functions of the environment and what is the definition of environment. We should be knowing what the environment is. So environment includes all the sum total of the interactions between the biotic and abiotic spheres of the life, right? So if biotic and abiotic factors influences each other, right, and they interact with each other, then they create a basic environment, right? So what is biotic factors and what is abiotic? Biotic factors are those factors which have life, right? Which have life, which live, right? Or they move from one place to another, right? So they can be trees, they can be humans, right? And they can be animals, right? Birds, etc. Right? Everything which have life in it is biotic, right? And abiotic are those which are not having life, or they are simply the materials, or they can be simply ore or anything else, or uh, maybe some metal, right? So anything which doesn't have life in it, it will be abiotic, right? It may be air, it may be water, right? It may be soil. So all those things are abiotic in nature, right? So if we will be including life as well as non-life substances, right? Because life is not possible without the abiotic things, right? So if a tree or human or animal is surviving, it is because of the air, water, or soil, etc. Right? So there is a high level of dependency of biotic as well as abiotic sector on each other, right? So the whole composition, whole interaction between them is called as environment, right? And then the study of environment is the study of interrelationship between these abiotic and abiotic substances, right? This is what is called as environment, right? So what are the functions of the environment? Okay, basically I am providing the gist of this paragraph that we have been seeing, right? So what are the functions of the environment? Environment functions in a very life sustainable sustaining manner for a biotic peoples, right? For humans as well as animals. So they supply the resources, right? So they may supply to resources to the human, birds, or animals, right? Resources may be like food, right? Or maybe the air, right? Air or water in the form of rain, etc. So all those resources are being provided because of the environment, right? Now it assimilates the waste, right? So whatever the waste that is generated by the biotic component, right? So this is assimilated, or that is concentrated, gets concentrated into the environment, and then the waste gets recycled into fresh substances, right? So that is a function of the environment, right? So you must have seen um, you must have seen that waste is being generated, and many of the sewage treatment plants are there, right? And waste is channelized into the treatment plants, right? It is in the urban areas. So in the rural areas, we simply those people simply throw up the waste, right? So in the process or in the time, slowly it will get degraded in the environment. So this is what is the function of the environment, like it degrades the waste, right? Now biodiversity is also, provision of the biodiversity is also the environment's one of the important function, right? It provides the genetic and species level of biodiversity. So different type of trees are you will be able to find, right? Different type of animals you will be finding, right? And within that animals also you will be finding different species, right? So tigers species maybe one species may be different than the other, right? So these are the things, the biodiversity is provided by the environment. Are you getting it? Now aesthetic services also one of the important thing which are being provided by the environment, right, right? So you may have seen many of the people who go from the plain area to the hilly areas, or those people from hilly areas or plain areas go to the beach area, right? Sea area. So why they go for it? Because they like the aesthetics of that area, right? They like the culture of that area, they like the natural feeling of that area, right? So the nature provides some of the scenic beauties, right? Scenic substance services that the environment provides, those are the also the functions of the environment, right? So we have seen the functions of the environment. Now moving ahead, right? So if you see, this is very this is an Himalayan stream. So how do you find this seam? It's one of the important impressive seams that you will be finding, right, when you will be visiting the Himalayan areas. So this is what the scenic beauty or the aesthetic service that is being provided by environment. Now moving ahead, so what is the next is the concept of the carrying capacity. What is the carrying capacity of an environment, right? So carrying capacity is like when the so if human will live, human or biotic and abiotic substances will live. So biotic factors, right? Biotic factors will use abiotic ones, right? Abiotic ones. Abiotic factors will be used by the biotic factors in order to lead the life, right? To live their life, and the waste will be generated by the biotic factors. Now if that waste can be regenerated, right? Regeneration of that resource, right, or abiotic resource is faster, at a faster speed than their extraction, right, or their waste generation, then this is called as carrying capacity, right? So there must be a limit, right? There must be a limit up to which the environment can assimilate the waste and properly recycle it, right? If the waste generation goes above that level, then the environment's function will itself fail, right? Environment will not be able to refresh or recycle the whole waste that is being generated, right? So this concept is called as carrying capacity, right? So the limit, the capacity up to which the environment can change the waste into the recyclable material, right? It can recycle the waste, right? So this is what is called carrying capacity. So if anything, or if the pollution or the changes in the environment are going on, which can lead to the wastage, higher wastage than the carrying capacity of the environment, then that means the environment's the functions of the environment are failing, right? Now moving ahead, so if the waste generation is higher, right? So environment's capacity gets failed, and this is called as environmental crisis. This is called as environmental crisis. So environment today is facing many of the challenges, right? Many of the challenges that environment is facing even today. It is because of the population pressure, right? Because you may have been knowing that in India also, India has become one of the populous nation of the world, right? China is one of the important very highly populated area, right? So when the population of an area increases, the demand for on the resources, right, in it increases. So when the demand on the resources increases, it will lead to higher pollution, right? So consumption culture is also one of the important challenges that the environment is facing today, right? Because everyone wants to consume or to have better things, right? To lead a healthy or a luxurious lifestyle, right? So they will start buying more things than they needed, right? So that is what is called as consumption culture. So अगर लोग ज्यादा बाई करेंगे, right, ज्यादा बाई करेंगे than they needs, तो the companies has to produce more, right? So production will be more than the need, right? And the production or the industrial production of all those things will lead to the degradation of the environment, right? Waste generation is an important problem which is being seen as one of the important threat to the environment's existence, right? Challenges to the environment. Exhaustion of the resources, right? Many of the resources have already been exhausted, right? So those issues are also important, because if the resources are being extracted at a very unsustainable or outside the carrying capacity of the environment, then the resources will get exhausted one day, right? So this is also an important challenge to the environment, right? And that resource must also be utilized for the environments, for recycling of some of the other substances of the environment also. If the resource is being extracted or exhausted by the humans, then the environment's basic function will also get disturbed, right? And another important issues, challenges that environment's degradation is also having is, we are now putting an additional cost to remove the waste or recycle the waste, right? So if the economy is growing, if the GDP growth is increasing, first it is generating the waste. Now additional cost is being put to reduce that waste and convert or recycle it into the reusable manner, right? So this is the wastage of the resources also, right? And another important challenge is also the health cost, right? So because of the degraded environment, people have some respiratory issues, right? Some of the cancers that are coming because of this degraded environment, right? So health burden is also important challenge that happens because of the issues, challenges on the environment. So these are the some of the challenges that are being faced by the humanity because of the environmental degradation or the challenges that environment is facing. Now new challenges are also emerging, right? Not only these previous challenges, the new challenges are also emerging because of the degradation of the environment. It is first and very foremost is the global warming that everyone knows, right? And the climate change, right? So climate or the climate of whole nation or the whole world is changing, right? It is undergoing some of the changes. So this is what is the important challenges that in today's environment is facing. Are you getting it? Okay. Now these resources, these PDF will be available on the link, okay? So you can always download it and then refer it later, right? Okay, so what is the next important concept is the absorption capacity, right? So it is the ability, the ability to absorb the waste and degrade it and then convert it to recycled mineral so that it can be further utilized, right? So it is the absorption capacity of the environment. It is used as in the carrying capacity concept, right? So whatever the degradation that wastage that we are generating, it has to be recycled, and this is called as absorption capacity, the capacity up to which environment can be self-sustainable. Right. So, what is the global warming? We have already we already know about it, but those people who don't know, for them it is like the increase in the global temperature of the Earth. Right. So, if the temperature of the Earth, whole Earth increases, so what will happen is it will lead to unseen issues, right? Unseen issues which will be impacting the humanity at the end, right? And this global warming is because of the because of the industrial revolution that has been done by the human race, right? And this industrial revolution increased the greenhouse gases, and these greenhouse gases are responsible for increasing the temperature of the Earth, right? So this global warming is in fact, this has been created by the man, right? It is human induced, right? And those greenhouse effect gases are coming because of the burning of the fossil fuels and deforestation, right? So we are utilizing or indiscriminately utilizing the fossil fuels, and that is what is leading to the global warming, right? I hope you got this concept, right? So these are the things that we have already discussed, right? Now the opportunity cost of negative environment impact are high. So we have seen that whatever the impact, whatever the challenges that the environment today is facing, right? Whatever the issues that environment is facing today. So after the degradation of environment, the negative issues that will arise, right? Negative issues, the health challenges that we have already talked about, right? The cost, negative cost that will be borne by the humans, that will be higher as compared to having a better environment, right? So this is what is being talked about here, right? Okay, so this paragraph, next paragraph says that this environment that we see today, the challenges of the environment that we see today, this was not as we see today, right? It was before industrialization, the demand in the economy was low, right? Demand in every economy or the global economy was low, so pollution was within the control. So the whatever the carrying capacity of the environment was there, right? Carrying capacity was there, environment was higher than the waste generation, right? Waste generation. But what has happened after industrialization, the waste generation, right, or the resource extraction, right, resource extraction is at a very fast rate as compared to the carrying capacity or the absorption power of environment, absorption power of environment. So this is what is happening after the industrialization. So before industrialization, our environment was one of the best, right? But after industrialization, we have started to face the degradation of the environment. Okay, what is the ozone depletion? Ozone is a very important gas that can be found in the stratosphere, right? So you should be always be having knowing, you should always know, you should always remember this, what is the where this ozone is found. It is found in the stratosphere. And where is this stratosphere situated? We will be discussing it in the geography portion of the NCERT, right? So our atmosphere is divided into different layers, and stratosphere is one of that layer, and in that layer this ozone layer is found, right? So why this problem of ozone layer has been seen, right? So if the layer ozone layer is there, sorry, right, so it starts to deplete away, right? It starts to deplete away. So the thickness of this ozone layer will keep on shrinking, right? It will keep on decreasing, thickness will keep on decreasing. So why this thickness, why this ozone layer depletion started to happen? It was because of the chlorine and bromine compounds that we used, the human race used. So why these were used at the very first place? It was because of the chlorofluorocarbons that were used in cooling substances of refrigerators as well as ACs. Right. So these chlorofluorocarbons were responsible for decreasing the thickness of the ozone layer in the stratosphere. And also not only these chlorofluorocarbons, but also bromofluorocarbons were also responsible. Those are called as halogens also, right? So halogens were used in the fire extinguishers that we use to control the fire, right? So the things that human generated, right? So in order to increase the growth of an economy, human started to produce ACs or cooler, right? ACs or refrigerators, and also the fire extinguishers. But these issues, these these products then started to deplete the ozone. Okay, deplete the ozone. So in effect, whatever the human race has created, right, it has solved one problem but has created a new one, right? So this is what is called as degradation of environment. Right. So what is the purpose of this ozone layer? Why this ozone layer is important? Because UV rays are coming from the sun, and these UV rays are being filtered by the ozone layer. Right. So it reduces those UV rays. Right. And how those UV rays affect humanity or the species on present on the globe? It is responsible for skin cancer in human, right? It lowers the production of phytoplanktons and affect the aquatic animals also, right? And also, and this is what and also influences the growth of the terrestrial plants. So aquatic plants, terrestrial aquatic animals, terrestrial plants, and humans as well. So it impacts everyone, right? So this is what is the problem of ozone layer depletion, right? Okay, so we have already seen that what is the function of ozone layer. So in order to reduce the impact of ozone layer depletion, right, Montreal Protocol was signed, right? So all those nations of the global nations came to a single table, and they signed a protocol called as Montreal Protocol, in which they started to ban the use of the chlorofluorocarbons as well as ozone depleting substances, right, like carbon tetrachloride, trichloroethane, right, and bromine compounds which were known as halogens, right? So all those compounds that were harming the ozone, that were started to be banned, right? And when they that started to ban, now what is the current status? Ozone layer has started to refill itself, right? Refill itself, right? It has started to, the thickness of the ozone layer has started to increase now, right? This is the current latest status that you must be aware about, right? Okay, so this picture shows how the Damodar Valley that has developed many of the coal plants, right, in that area, because the coal reserves are available in the Damodar Valley in a very high quantity. So there are many coal thermal power plants there, right? So as they started to function, the environment of this Damodar Valley started to decrease, right? And uh, it is Damodar, the river itself started to become polluted, right? And the Damodar river became the ecological disaster, right? Convert into a ecological disaster, right? Okay, so this was very important. This has been covered, right? So this was the important thing that we have seen. Now moving to the next topic, that is the state of India's environment. तो इंडिया का environment कैसा है? So we have seen what is the function of the environment, what are the usefulness of the environment, and if the environment degrades, what are the issues that humanity can face, right? Now, what is the state of India's environment? So India has abundant of natural resources, right? Abundant of natural resources. It has high fertile land, right? It is available in the alluvial soil, has alluvial soil in the plains, right? It has high amount of the minerals, right? Minerals like iron ore, right? Minerals like coal deposits, etc., are available in a very high quantity, right? Available in larger quantity. It has higher reserves. It has rich forest cover also, right? So India has adequate quantity of the resources, right? And if we talk about the mineral resources, India accounts for nearly 8% of the world's total iron ore reserves. So world's total 8% of the iron reserves are available in India. So this is the richness of India. India also has the reserves of bauxite, copper, chromium, gold, lead, lignite, zinc, uranium, etc. So abundant quantity of all the materials, all the minerals, right? Approximately all the minerals is available in India. So India's environment in that sense is highly rich, right? But what actually has started to happen is that in the minerals that were available in India, they have started to degrade the environment. How? Because it is a dichotomy for India that the poverty in India, right? It is very high, right? As we all know, poverty in India is very high. So poor people, what they do is they cook their food on fuel wood, right? Because fuel wood is easily available throughout in the nearby forest, and they cook their food on the fuel wood. So in effect, when they cook their food on fuel wood, they go for air pollution, right? They pollute the air. But what can be done? Because they are poor people, right? So that though the pollution is being increased because of the poverty, right? It is the poverty induced pollution that cannot be done, right? Now next important issue is the affluence induced pollution is also important, right? Those people who get rich, they start to live a luxurious lifestyle, right? Luxurious lifestyle. And what they started to do is they start to move from one place to another place by using their own cars, personal cars, right? So they go for personal cars. So this leads to the vehicular pollution. Are you getting it? And not only this, rich people starts to little, eat little, and waste more, right? So they generate food waste in a very high quantity. So this is the affluence induced environmental issues, challenges that can be there, right? Another important thing is industry induced environmental challenges, right? So those environment gets degraded because of the industry also, because industry will always degrade the environment. right? So environmental issues are also there. What are the environmental issues that India faces today? Is the land degradation, biodiversity loss, right? Air pollution, freshwater challenges, and solid waste management. So these are the important environmental issues that India is facing today. So we will discuss them one by one, right? We will come back to this box later, right? So one of the important factors which is responsible for environmental degradation is the land degradation, right? And what is the land degradation? Land degradation is the loss of the vegetation because of the deforestation. So when the land is cleared, right? When the land is cleared, so it leads to the deforestation and it leads to another challenges of the environment, right? Because of the environment degradation, CO2 will not be converted into oxygen, and the soil erosion will be rampant. So these are some of the important issues, right? So unsustainable fuel wood and fodder extraction will be important, right? This will also lead to the land degradation, shifting cultivation, right? Encroachment on the forest. Forest fires will lead to the land degradation of the forest. Non-adoption of the soil adequate soil conservation measures, right? Improper crop rotation, right? Agrochemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides that are being used by the farmers, right? Improper planning, irrigation system which is not planned, right? Extraction of groundwater in larger quantities. So and the poverty, etc. So these all are the measures, these are the or the regions that will lead to the degradation of the land in India, right? So this is what is the important challenge of the land degradation. And you must also see this data point. This is very important data point that has been given, that India supports 17% of the population of the world and 20% of the livestock population of the world, and yet but it only has 2.5% of the geography of the geography or geographical extent or geographical area of the world, right? On only this 2.5% supports 17% population and 20% livestock population. So this is very important, right? And also, not only this, the land degradation also has some of the issues, another important issue of the soil erosion as well, right? So because of the soil erosion, approximately 5.3 billion tons of the soil is eroded from India every year. And this is very important challenge that India is facing. Right? Additional pressures are also coming on the land because of the competitive use of the land. The land can be utilized for industry, for living, right? And for forestry, right? And for pastures, human settlements, etc. So because of the competing use of the land degradation is happening at a very fast rate, right? So this is another important problem, right? The quantity of the nutrients that are lost to erosion due to the land erosion is 5.8 to 8.4 million tons every year. And this is the effect that India is facing because of the soil erosion, right? Okay, so this was all about the soil erosion. Uh, we have to discuss the air pollution, but let's first discuss this box that we have left behind. So we all know about the Chipko movement. Chipko movement was a movement where the women started to hug the trees because those contractors were felling those trees, right? And the similar movement took place in Karnataka, which was called as Apiko. Apiko is also means hugging, right? Hugging of the trees. So this movement took place in 1983, and where the women and men of the tribal area, they started to hug the trees because the contractors were felling those trees, right? So those wood cutters and also the contractors, they had to run away because of the protest by the people, right? So in that protest, people saved approximately 12,000 trees, right? And this is very important contribution of those people, right? So they protected their forest, right? Okay, so deforestation is an important challenge which leads to the land degradation, right? And this deforestation poses some of the environmental issues like soil erosion that we have already discussed. Rivers started to dry up in that area where the deforestation has happened, right? Infertility of the soil increases, and the new pest and disease attacks come up. new pest and disease attacks can come up because of the environmental degradation, because of deforestation. So in that sense, deforestation is not good for the environment, right? So this was all about the degradation, land degradation, deforestation, the issue that India is facing, the environmental first environmental issue, right? The second important environmental issue is the air pollution. And air pollution in India can be happening because of the two types. It can be because of the vehicles, vehicular pollution, and this can be because of the industries, that is called as industrial pollution. And if we can gauge the this vehicular pollution by the data that has been given. The number of motor vehicles has increased from 3 lakh in 1951 to 35 crore in 2022, right? So this is the impact, the number of vehicles that has been coming on the road, they must be increasing the pollution also, right? Okay. Now, polluting industries must also be there. So, in that sense, those polluting industries has been graded by the CPCB. CPCB is the Central Pollution Control Board, and those industries has been categorized into 17 categories based on the pollution that they create in the environment. Right? Okay. Development. Right. Let's see this a bit later, but let's do this box that we have left behind. Okay. So environmental concerns are there because of the air pollution in India, right? And what Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB), which has been established in 1974, did is the government established this body because of the rising air pollution. So these CPCB or the environment the pollution control boards, right? They can be at the central level or the state level. They investigate, collect the information related to water, air, land pollution, etc. So every pollution they can cover, right? They can also lay down the standards. They can also provide technical assistance to the government to how the pollution should be measured, how to control that pollution, how to recycle those waste, etc. Right? They also carry out the investigation research related things, and they also prepare the manuals, codes, and guidelines, etc., related to the sewage and other waste disposal methods, right? So this is the function of central pollution and state pollution control boards that we have discussed, right? Okay, so now moving back to the last this paragraph. So, if we are going to going for the development to enhance our current living styles, right, without concern for the posterity. So, if we are only concerned about ourselves and this time, right, so the future generation will always face some of the issues, right, some of the challenges. So, they will, if we will start depleting resources and degrade the environment, then that pace, the economic growth, though we will be able to achieve the higher amount of economic growth, that is for sure, but that growth will not be sustainable for the longer term, and that growth will lead to the environmental and economic crisis in the time or the in the future, right? So we should be utilizing the resources. No one is saying to not to utilize. So resources should be utilized, but our future generation, right, future generations should also be concentrated upon, right? We should be also concerned about those future generation, that how what type of environment, what type of resources will they get when they will be coming, right? So if we are able to know, we are able to understand how those things will work out, right? That thing, then our lifestyle, right, then our utilization of the resource, the growth that we are having will be a bit of sustainable. And this is what, from this level, we will be building our concept of the sustainable development. Right. And this thing we'll be covering in the part second of this chapter 7, right? In the next session. So till that time, keep on revising the things that we have already done, right? And these short notes of this chapter will be available in the link that has been given in the description, right? Till that point of the time, keep revising, keep studying. Thank you all.